This is Camille. She's a Canadian who likes talking to strangers to understand human behavior. This is Irene. She's an American who majored in human behaviors in university. Together, they discuss the differences and similarities in their experiences and perspectives. This is my pen pal. Welcome to this episode of my pen pal podcast. We are going to be talking about interracial relationships today and our personal ties. And we're going to also touch upon why we like to talk about it with each other specifically.
So I'll start. I'm in an interracial relationship for about 6 or 7 years now. And I mean, having like good history on it, I've only really been in interracial relationships, so I have quite the experience.
Awesome. I too am in an interracial relationship. I've been with my significant other for 6 years, and as a multiracial person, every relationship I've been in is an interracial relationship, so I guess that's kind of what my experience has been in the dating world as well. I, like you, Irene, I have a lot of experience with it because it's kind of the only option that I have. To clarify, my boyfriend is Canadian and I'm Filipina Nigerian. And we live in Toronto, which is the most multicultural city in the world.
In contrast, I'm not really living in a super diverse city. I'm in St. Petersburg, Florida. It's not bad, but it definitely is by far not close to like a big city like New York or LA or anything like that. So I don't think that has caught up yet here. And I bring that up only
that's a really good point, because it's obviously whenever I go somewhere, I'm not really thinking about it, because to my boyfriend and I, we're in a relationship, period. It's not defined by race or culture or anything like that. Like, those are aspects of our relationship, but they don't define it per se. And it's interesting because we went to Florida not that long ago. I think it was like 3 years ago now, to Disney World. Okay. A place that a lot of people visit. And we were staying at this resort with his aunt and his cousin. His cousin's in and around our age. And I remember going to the grocery store, again, not thinking anything of it. Reminder, my boyfriend and his family are Caucasian, they're Canadian, and I'm me. I look how I look. And his cousin told me that there was this old white couple or American couple shaking their heads at us and like really upset. And I did not even see that. I'm not looking for it. I don't see it. There's ignorance on my end, obviously, and she spoke up, but I didn't even notice. And I don't mean to laugh because it's not funny, but to me, it's so ridiculous. It's so ridiculous. So do people say weird things to you because of the type of people that you've dated?
Oh God, yeah, it's awkward. And you know what? It's always it's never close friends where you're like, okay, let's talk about this. It's always someone who you're just not that close with, and they're like, so do you only date black guys? And I'm like, oh God, because it's never an easy yes or no, and I always feel I need to explain, but then I'm like, why the hell, who are you to, so yeah, I sometimes get questions, but to be honest, I think a lot of people are scared to ask, even though they know them. But yeah, do you? It seems to be,
people say stupid shit to me all the time. And it's been like my whole life. Like I started dating like early, like in middle school or whatever, and everyone I dated was like the complete opposite of me skin color wise. So they're like super like light or Caucasian.
Right.
And that's just been my experience. Like, yes, of course, in
Yeah.
some cases, like especially in my earlier years, like I sought after those people. And for me, it's because they're so different. I'm not saying that I've never hooked up with or have, you know, dated or courted or whatever, you know, darker skinned people. I have. It's just, for whatever reason, it's worked out more relationship wise with lighter people. Like, call it pattern, call it whatever. I don't really care at this point, but like, people have always said stupid shit to me, like, oh, Camille only dates white guys, or she only dates like Italians, or like whatever, or like she likes white guys that like act black. And I'm just like, if you actually ever paid attention to the guys that I like or have been attracted to ever in my life, they all have a commonality. Like, like being raised in an Asian house, my family was always like, you date whoever you want. It's open season over here. So if it's open season, I'm going to go for the most, you know, opposite thing to me, whatever that means, right? Whether it's personality and looks, I don't know. I kind of like the shock factor. Like, fuck you, people who are not okay with it.
My very first boyfriend was Asian. My second, like, and first long-term boyfriend was Asian too. And that was when I was like maybe 15, 16. But after that, I swear to you guys, I was never really one to like approach a guy. So it was just like whoever comes to me, whoever approaches me. And it was never really any more Asians because like at the time I was like taller and just huskier. I hate that word, but like bigger than regular Asians. So point being, like, I wasn't the type physically to attract Asian guys. That was my thinking, right? Because I just wasn't getting hit on.
Okay, time out, because I hate the way you describe yourself all the time. Yeah. Just to clarify for everyone here, Irene's body is banging. Okay. She's like a Chun-Li come to life. She has a tiny waist and some thick legs. She is sexy. I love it. Okay, resume. Sorry.
We're gonna have to cut this part out.
Why?
No, we're gonna have to cut that part out. That's like gonna make me blush. But like, so you understand like this body type, right? It is so not typical, stereotypical, like skinny little Asian. And I honestly do think that made a huge difference in attracting the pool of Asian guys. And then I didn't really get hit on by like Caucasian guys. And I think it's because there is a little feistiness to me. And I think they didn't know how to approach it. I think they didn't know how to approach an Asian and then like a feisty Asian, you know, or like a won't take your shit. So I feel like the guys who have approached me may have matched a pattern, but also like physical attraction, I fit, like I'm curvier, I just fit a different look than what a typical Asian girl would, and I think that attracted a different pool of people. So I think when people are like, well, do you only go for a specific group? Yes, but in my case, by default, you know what I mean? And then it turned into something else. But in the beginning, it's not like I really had a choice. There was nobody, you know, like, there's nobody approaching me. What was I, you know? Like, and my friend and I used to joke around, like, throw me into a bar and see who comes up to me. And then that kind of determines who my blinders are open to, you know? So it's not really necessarily our choice. I think it becomes our choice, but maybe like...
Yeah, navigated by your surroundings, I guess.
Exactly.
So I guess we're going to get into questions that interracial couples get often. We picked 5. So the first question that I always hear, not necessarily from me, but I guess from my lighter counterparts, is, were your parents mad? Or did your parents care? Yeah.
Interesting that only your lighter counterparts asked.
it's like I guess their friends are asking them that question because of some type of either perceived notion or outward like conversation that their parents have had. That's the one that kind of bothers me because, again, from my lens or my perspective, the ignorance factor is like literally kumbaya. Why can't we all just get along? Why the fuck does it matter? Like, I'm a good person, come from a good home and a good family, and like I'm here to do good, you know? So that question used to piss me off.
Right.
And I can't believe that in this day and age, the millennium, you know, people are still asking that question.
Okay. So next question that interracial couples get a lot is, do you only date blank people? And we kind of discussed this in the beginning. And we don't like that question, you guys, because it feels like you're generalizing us for only dating blank people. So don't ask us that. And we've kind of already addressed in the beginning that we may, but not because we're only seeking them out. It's probably for a multitude of reasons. Like, we only have commonalities with these people, or with these people. We only have commonalities with these groups, and they just happen to be these people. Or, you know, by default, like, you know, if I'm only getting hit on by whatever, then I'm only going to date whatever people, you know, tall, short, ugly, bald. Doesn't really matter the race. So don't ask us that. Like that.
The third question that we get asked often is, do you guys have a lot in common? So this question makes me upset. I'm not sure where you're going with that question when you ask it to me, but like, yes. Yes. Like, do you ask your monoracial couples this? Like, do you have a lot in common with this person? There's a myriad of reasons, a wide spectrum of reasons why people are in relationships with each other. Having things in common is like a default.
Another question that interracial couples get is, isn't it hard? I don't get this a lot. I guess my answer to that question is like, isn't any relationship hard? Like, I guess you do get like an extra layer of like race differences, but really it depends on how much of a thing you make it within your relationship. So like, if it's not a thing, which I would argue for most interracial couples it's not a thing, then the relationship itself is just as hard as any other relationship. It's only when you let outside people or outside influences influence your relationship, then it becomes like, oh, okay, then it becomes a thing that you have to address. But I don't think it's particularly harder than any relationship.
And the final and fifth question that we get asked a lot is, so is insert stereotype here true? My goodness.
And it's
always
sexual, isn't it? It's always like it.
And there's so many
awkward.
Like, there's so many ways we can go with this, because like, you know, this ties into the fetishization of, you know, different races. Don't ask me about the size of my boyfriend's penis. Don't fucking ask me that.
Because you do sound ignorant, yeah. So those are the questions not to ask. Thank you very much. On behalf of all the interracial couples in the world, thank you for not asking us.
I guess we have some questions for you guys.
Yeah.
Okay, so first question. Dear monoracial couples in particular, and you know what? Anyone that this really applies to. According to data from OkCupid, the dating site, 25 million accounts show that Black people and Asian people are the least desirable races. Why is that?
Here's another question we have for monoracial / any couple. What is the most difficult for you to understand about interracial relationships?
Super curious. Last but not least, guys, what we really want to know is, in the face of everything that's going on in today's world, what makes you a good friend? Let us know. Comment below, and we'll see you next week. Thanks for listening. Thank you so much for joining us this week on My Pen Pal. We love what we do and would love to hear from you. Comment below and let us know your thoughts on this week's episode. See you next week.